I'll go ahead and start. My name is Samantha Rux. I work for Blackhawk College. I am primarily located at the East Campus in Galva, Illinois, and my role there is a recruiter. So I basically meet with families and prospective students and kind of, figure out how Blackhawk fits into their future. And so that's something I really enjoy. I've been with the college for about 4 years. And so something that's super fun for me all the time is just chatting with people. So, when we were looking at sessions and hosting the different sessions, I thought this would be a natural fit for, not only what I do with my career, but I'm also involved in the community. So it's been a joy to be able to present. And I just wanted to thank Michael and my colleagues who have put this series together. I think it's really beneficial for everyone. And honestly, on a personal note, helps me to, stay connected, because there are some days where, I don't talk to a human, other than the people in my house. So it's definitely a nice break to be able to, interact a little bit. So that's just a little bit about me. I don't know, Angela, if you want to go, or Mariah, if you want to go, it doesn't matter to me.
I can I can start, since I figured out how to unmute myself.
Right.
The computer on my end is moving so slow, so it's my system, so I apologize. But you asked for our name and title, correct?
Yeah, sure. Share whatever you
fact. Okay. My name's Mariah Amaya. I'm a community relations coordinator for Meridian Health Plan. So one of the MCOs, or managed care organizations, for the Health Choice Illinois. That is actually for the beneficiaries of Medicaid. So we have members. We are actually the largest plan in the state, but we work with community members. Whether you have our plan, whether you have Medicaid or not, we look to bring health awareness and resources to the community directly. Typically that's through events or just different engagement opportunities with partners like the college. Fun fact, well, I live in Chicago, so I'm tuning in from Chicago, but Rock Island is an area that I'm responsible for. I would say I played volleyball competitively for 12 years of my life. Not a lot of my team members or people I work with know that, but yeah, it's a fact. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Very cool. It's always interesting, in this Zoom environment, to be able to, connect with people all over. So, not only just in our little area, but, we put something on and people can Zoom in from anywhere. So that's pretty cool. And the volleyball thing is awesome. I have a friend whose sister is still playing professional volleyball. I think she's in the Philippines right now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, she's been playing for many, many years, and she played in, I think, South Korea, the Philippines. Trying to think where else. I feel like maybe a couple Europe teams. So
yeah, a couple of my teammates went on to do that too, so that's really
okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Very good.
And I apologize, I'm tuning in from my desktop, so I don't have a webcam on here.
Oh,
but,
that's okay. That's really fine.
I'll go quickly. I have not a single athletic bone in my body, so I don't have any fun stories like that to share. My name is Angela. I also work at Blackhawk. I'm on the Quad City campus. I run the career center there, so I help people figure out what they want to do when they grow up, write their resumes, help with job searching, networking, all kinds of fun stuff. Fun fact is that we are a house full today. Usually it's just me and my husband on work from home days, but my oldest son is here, an electrician is here, my cat thinks it's lunchtime, so he keeps walking around and yelling at us. So it's full house, busy.
Yes.
And if I can ask really quickly,
sure.
Angela, are those career services, are those only available to students?
No, we serve community members, alumni, anybody.
Awesome. That's great to know. Thank you.
Sure. I'll put my contact info here in the chat box.
Thank you.
Awesome. And while Angela's doing that, I'll kind of get ready and share my screen, and then we will be off to the races. So
sounds good.
Okay, so, I kind of did my intro and this is networking and team building. A lot of the things are going to be kind of focused on networking, but for me, I think that team building piece just comes naturally once you kind of figure out what networking looks like, because, at the end of the day, you're always networking. So building that team is important too. So my neighbor's dog is barking, so sorry about that, but it's fine. So just a little bit about what networking is. It is the cultivation of productive relationships. It's not just an exchanging of business cards. It's more of, meeting professionals and really connecting with them on that level. So you want to make sure that when you are networking that it's not just a relationship that's, necessarily personal for you, but that you're networking because it's going to be mutually beneficial for both parties. So, a way to recognize, create, and act on business opportunities. And again, it's not just for individuals. It's not just for organizations. It kind of happens, in a variety of different ways. So, it can happen across industries. So you can, network within your own industry. You can network across industries. So maybe you have, a special interest in a specific area. You can really network anyone, right? So you can use that productive relationship anywhere. And then just a note on the organization to organization networking, I think it's really important to note that a lot of times when you are networking, you are the face of your business. And so if I'm networking for the college, I might be looking for other resources out in that industry, and I'm networking as the college to build a partnership with someone else. And sometimes that can happen individually, but, more often than not, you are the face of your organization. So just a little note on that. Why it's important: it provides great opportunities to establish contacts and referral networks. So, you're not only connecting with people just to hopefully, gain their professional relationship, but you kind of have this big referral network that, as you're working within your career, you can kind of pull on people for their different areas of expertise. It can allow you to, it's a learning experience, really. I talk about my experience when I first started at Blackhawk, and actually, Mariah, like you, I am from healthcare, so I've actually held the title of Community Relations Coordinator. It was more on the
Wow.
senior living side of things. So for me, I'm used to what that looks like in the healthcare realm. I took the job at Blackhawk because I saw the advertisement for it. I was kind of looking for a change, but knew I wanted to stay local. And then, when I'm looking through that skill set, I thought, I've got some transferable skills. Most of my healthcare background has been on the marketing side of things, marketing and sales and things like that. So I thought, we'll give it a shot. But higher education is not healthcare. So, there are a lot of great things about higher education that I love. But there's some things about healthcare, specifically sometimes the more efficient side of things that higher education does not offer. So, when you're looking at higher education, sometimes the process is like cutting through 1,000 things of red tape. And, healthcare, I feel like you're very efficient in most aspects because they want to, make sure everything is good to go. Not that there's not challenges with healthcare, but anyway, the long story short is that I really had to learn what that looks like, and kind of figure out how community college can fit into the skills that I already possessed. And the flip side of that too is that on my campus in Galva, we're very ag centered. So we do a lot with agriculture. And aside from my grandparents having a farm growing up, I really didn't know much about that. And so recruiting students to that sector has been a learning experience for sure. So for me, it was really important that I'm, just absorbing all of the information that I can. And a lot of that came from not only the staff at Blackhawk, but the faculty for sure, because they have they have that wealth of expertise. And then just as I'm, out in the community or attending different events, reaching out to some of those industry partners and learning more about what they want from their students or from the people that will work there, who are students of ours. Yeah, so just, that learning experience is super important, and networking is the reason, why I was able to do that. So, and then it can also open the door to new opportunities. So, maybe I really enjoy agriculture, and, maybe down the road that would be something I'd be interested in, is kind of breaking into that industry. So, you just kind of collect all these pieces, and through networking, you learn a lot, and then that can kind of set you up for future success. Um, so you also are able to get support from people. So, we talked about just that learning experience, but I think, especially within higher education, people are willing and able to help you out. So you kind of get that support, you get that resource library. So I know, if I'm connecting with a family, that if I don't have the answer for them, I can kind of tap into what's going on and ask people around me. And then that helps to not only develop your relationship, but you kind of feel a little bit more self-confidence, and kind of it solidifies your status within your industry and things like that. So talking a little bit about what networking is, that's important, why it's important, but then we look at how we can network, how can we take these, these nuggets of knowing what networking is and why it's important, how can we actually put that into practice? So something that I think is important is setting goals. So when you set out to intentionally network, why are you doing that? Are you looking to introduce a new business? Are you looking to get that support within your industry? Or maybe you're just, like me, looking to get more industry or community knowledge. Having that clear goal in mind can help you to really reach out to the people that are going to be instrumental in helping you reach those goals. And make sure that you're doing the communicating. Don't expect everyone to come to you and want to know more about you. It's very important that you are the one who is providing value to your network. You're the one who's asking the questions and being interested in someone else. So I think that being a good listener is super important in networking, and asking those questions about the person that you're connecting with, because if you can provide value, if you can, show that interest in them, that's really nurturing your relationship, and it shows them that they're important to you, not just because of who they are or who they can connect you with, but because you're actually interested in them as a person and what they're doing. And a way to, kind of provide that value to your network and kind of show them that you're important, on the same side of the coin, is that you can create an elevator pitch. So we'll talk a little bit more about how to create an elevator pitch and what that looks like a little bit later. And something that I also, find a lot is I am constantly reintroducing myself, and that's okay. I do not expect people to remember me. I don't want them to, have to strain themselves to remember who I am. I'm not going to be offended if they forget my name or my face or whatever. I can oftentimes remember the name of a student who, is maybe setting up a visit with me or who I've connected with, but I'm not always able to place that face. And the reverse is also true. I might be able to look at someone and say, oh, I know I've met with you, but I just can't remember quite who you are. So there have been times where I say, oh, hi, I'm Sam. I work at Blackhawk. I'm the recruiter, whatever. And somebody said to me, yeah, I know who you are. And that's okay. I think that reintroducing yourself can also provide an opportunity for that person to then introduce themselves. So if you're not quite sure who they are, it's nice to be able to kind of cut that tension and just say, hey, this is who I am. And then they can say, oh yeah, we've met, I'm so-and-so. So it kind of just makes it that more natural fit. if you're connecting with someone that you know is going to be important to your network or that you would want to stay connected with, be sure to reconnect on a regular basis. Don't be a pest though, don't text them a million times or email them or like, constantly ask for favors or whatever. But you do, every so often you just want to say, hey, what's up? And then also talk about the ways that you've improved maybe on a personal or professional level, or if you're someone who's owned a business or whatever, maybe your product or your service has changed, reach out to your network, reconnect with them, tell them how you've improved both in a personal and professional setting. And then kind of the last bullet point on this page is building and maintaining a good reputation. So I work with college age students all the time. I used to coach the dance team for my local high school, and this is something that I preach to them. I always tell them that they are not only representing themselves, when they're making choices in their life, they are representing their teams, they're representing their school, they're representing their community, they're representing their family, and so trying to get that message across to teenagers is not always the easiest thing, but I think, it just rings true across the board, in every age that, you have to build and maintain a good reputation because you aren't just representing yourself. There's really a variety of things that you are representing when you are networking or when you're just out there in the world. So just a little note on that. And so quality, not quantity, that is something that I think is important too, especially when we're looking at those networking events. So, they put together these mixers and, you're supposed to go out and meet people. Maybe it's at a vendor fair or an expo. It's not just about meeting all of the people. So you don't want to just go into the middle of an expo hall and just say business cards all around and hope that somebody picks it up and wants to connect with you based on the information on your business card. And you don't want to collect a million business cards for people that you think maybe down the road they might be important, but you don't really know for sure. It's about meeting the right people for where you are in your career. You do want to have an extensive network, that's important. You don't want to keep yourself in a silo or, just not reach out at all. But it's really about making that connection and building that productive relationship. So something that I know has been helpful for people in the past is, if you've got your business card, if you're having a conversation with someone, before you wrap up, just write a few notes maybe on the back of your business card that, I'm Sam, I put together, this networking presentation, I work for Blackhawk, or, just like a little tidbit that can kind of help the person that you're networking with remember you. So because at the end of the day, they're going to be walking away with, many business cards. And so if you have some notes on the back, they can connect the dots better and keep you more top of mind.
I appreciate you sharing that,
Yeah.
especially because sometimes, since I work a lot at events and outside, like we're really busy, they're at our activation, and sometimes I don't have my bag or my cards with me. I'll even write on their card. Like if I tell them I don't have one right now, because I started in January, but I actually didn't get cards until 2 weeks ago. But it's not like I was meeting people in person. But I really like that you shared that because, putting something down and writing not just a standard business card, information, that's a really great tip. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and I think it comes up a little bit later in the presentation, but, even if you don't have a business card, and I know maybe like phone swapping is not really a thing that people are doing right now, but, even if you're able to like just throw them your phone or you can like put your contact information in there, or even if you just say, hey, what's your email? I'm going to shoot you an email with my contact information.
Yeah. And one great resource, when I first started, my team members would tell me, like, make sure you use all these different apps. And one of them is CamCard. There's a free version of it. And so you can actually scan a business card And it uploads all the information automatically to your contacts, and it can even put it to your contacts on your email as well, like if you link it to Outlook, or you can just enter it manually, with notes. It's called a CAM, like a CAM card.
Okay.
There's a free and a professional version. I think that one might sort or organize it a little bit better, but it's very useful, especially when you don't have your card deck with you, and you can kind of scroll through, and it lets you scan the front and the back, and it usually does a good job of, transcribing what's on the card.
That's awesome. Nice. I've never heard of that.
And I think there's a way to like scan each other's, like if someone else has it. I don't know if it's that popular yet, but I think it's sort of like Snapchat where you can hover over someone's QR code and just exchange your info. So I'm not sure if you have a way to share that with your students or the prospects you work with, but I love it. I think it's really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have this just like book of cards that,
yeah,
and sometimes it's helpful and I can pull it out, but I don't always have it with me, and I don't take it with me to events all the time. So like having something like that would be perfect.
And so I know it's on iPhone. I don't know what other platforms, but I would try, finding that or a different one. But it's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really good to know, for sure. Awesome. And so, when you are collecting business cards, when you're connecting with people, it's important to be able to connect other people when you can. So, maybe you've got a couple of people in your network who would benefit from being connected themselves. So you can say, oh, hey, I know this person, they'd be really great for, what you're looking for. That's another way to provide value to your network. So, not just saying, hey, I'm so great, you should have me in your network, but really saying, oh, I've got all of these, other people in my network who, can maybe help with certain things that someone else is looking for. So, and, in that same vein, just networking in all directions. So don't just always look for the people who are maybe situated above you career-wise, but, network across industry, network across professional levels. Because at the end of the day, even if someone, is in a different position than you, maybe within your industry, they may not be able to help bump you up career-wise, but they might be able to put in a good word for you, or, maybe they have a specific skill set kind of outside the industry, or they're working on, maybe something a little more creative, and you're interested in that. You never know what you're going to find in the network. So.
Definitely. And I think it's great, like how you said, to connect others. Others have connected me when they didn't even expect it. They're like, oh, hey, well, here's this representative. Let me introduce you to them. Right. And you weren't even anticipating that or knew who you were standing next to. So that's really great.
Yeah, for sure. And so, when we talked a little bit about some of the networking mixers or, whatever they have after conferences, meetings, trade fairs, expos. That's kind of the traditional in-person things. I think joining community organizations is really important too. That to me is something that's a little less like I'm attending this event to network. If you're joining a community organization that has a mission that you're passionate about, you're going to find those other like-minded individuals, and they're going to be from all over the place. So and that's my plug because I'm a member of the Kiwanis Club in Kewanee. And so I know that, our membership is pretty diverse. We have people in every single industry. We have some people who are even retired. So even just tapping on their expertise for different things is pretty cool. So that's my community organizations plug. But now that, with COVID and the pandemic and everything else, virtual is even more important. So, we're networking on this call right now, which is pretty cool. But social media is, taking over as some pretty heavy ways to network. And social media can kind of connect you with people, outside your maybe immediate geographical area. So LinkedIn, Twitter, those are probably the biggest like networking type platforms. As far as like a professional thing. And then I always look at, some lifelong learning opportunities. So, things like this session where you can connect with other people. Blackhawk's always trying to kind of put out some things like that. But there's even a lot of virtual professional development that's going on right now. And some of it is free, whereas they used to have maybe a big conference that was, expensive for, the fee, and then maybe it's travel or whatever. I've seen some that they might normally have a big conference that people are paying for, but they've gone virtual and decided that, hey, we're just going to offer this for free. So I think that that's pretty cool. I also think, we're kind of in the hustle economy, or the passion economy. So people are, kind of looking for that creative outlet or, something else. So I kind of threw the passion project stuff in there, and Skillshare is a great opportunity for that. So I know that there's probably some other places out there, but there's a website called Skillshare.com, and it's basically all of these people who are, who have a skill set and, things that are probably more creative, but it's something that they're just sharing their expertise, and some of the things are free, some of them you pay for a subscription, but there's just a lot of opportunities out there now, virtually to network and sort of, learn more about different things.
Yeah, lots of Zoom calls to join, it makes it more accessible, actually.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It for sure does. I know that there's an organization that I've kind of followed since I was in healthcare. It's called the Studer Group. They do like a healthcare side of things with like hospitals and stuff, and then they have an education arm as well. And so I just kind of get their emails or whatever, and they normally do a big conference, and I'm always like, oh, that'd be kind of fun to go, but I don't really know if that's appropriate, for the role that I'm in. But they're doing a virtual conference later this month, and I was like, if I can log on and pick up some tidbits, I think that that's pretty cool, because it's not something that's ever been, accessible like that for me. But now it is. So.
Yeah, so you have that info to share. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, the one that is happening is for sure, it's education based, but I'll try to remember to throw it in the chat at the end of the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll find it. So we'll talk a little bit about elevator pitches. So when you're networking with someone, you kind of want to have on deck, a quick, easily digestible little bio about yourself that is something that people can, take away and remember. It's great, when you're at big job fairs or career expos. You can use it on social media. You can use it in a job interview. It's really great when somebody says, tell me about yourself. And I know me personally, sometimes, somebody says that, especially in a job scenario, you kind of go to that default of like your personal life, right? So you're like, well, I was born and raised in Kewanee. I'm married. I have 2 kids. And it's like, okay, that's really great. But like, what can you bring to the table as an employee? So that tell me about yourself, having that elevator pitch, saying, what you do, what your skill set is, maybe what your goals are. I think that that's a really good thing to have on deck. It gives you some confidence when you're introducing yourself. Again, networking can be awkward. You can walk up to people and you're like, hey, this is awkward, but let's chat for a little bit. And I think just cutting the tension on that is good, but having that elevator pitch ready so that when you do walk up to someone, maybe they're a speaker at a conference, or maybe they're just somebody that you should connect with, you can kind of have that on deck, and so you're not fumbling over your words, you just have it ready to go. And so I'll go ahead and open the document that I I didn't put it together. Angela actually shared it with me. But it's a really, kind of easy way to put together your own elevator pitch. You go through your name, if you're a student, area of study, otherwise, maybe what your job is currently, some opportunities that you're seeking, maybe the experience that you have, that would make that relevant. And then just kind of your strengths, skills, if you are talking to someone specific, maybe knowledge of the company, and then, just your goal, what's your career goal? What's your closing statement? So this is something that I think is really great. You just, kind of put in the things and then make it sound good and put it all together. And this is, it'll be on the PowerPoint. I think Michael, who put all these together, she should be sending it out. So it's included in the PowerPoint, and then I think she can also just send this, you just click on the link or whatever. But
that's great. Thank you.
yes. I'm going to try and get back to, I was going to try and go back to my full screen deal. That's a little bit easier. We'll just click through some slides, it's fine. Okay. There we go. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's kind of, what an elevator pitch is and why it's good to have it in your toolbox. When you're talking about an ideal elevator pitch, what you should include, it's important to be brief. You don't want to be just spewing your resume that takes, 10 minutes to tell them exactly what you've done, for the last 5 years or whatever. Just a quick recap of who you are, what you do. Be sure to be persuasive. You want to make sure that whoever's listening, that they're actually interested in, what your idea is or your organization, your background. Be sure to share your skills. And I think this is something that the elevator pitch helps with a lot. It's kind of hard to do our own skill assessment and to, talk ourselves up and make sure that, we're sharing, the things that we do well. So having that elevator pitch and really thinking about, the skills that you can bring to the table, I think is really important. And then just practicing your elevator pitch. So you don't want to walk into a situation where you're like, oh, what? I don't know. I guess I do this. And, you want to make sure that you're practiced and good to go. And so some things to keep in mind when you're creating your elevator pitch, make sure you're positive and flexible. At the end of the day, you might be using this to leverage another job offer or something like that, but you don't want to lead with the stuff that you don't want to do. So, as a recruiter, I end up traveling a lot for my job, and some days that can be draining. Other days it's really nice to, hop in the car and be going somewhere. But, an example is if I didn't want to travel for my job and I was looking for a new opportunity, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm Sam, I have worked at Blackhawk for 4 years, but I'm looking for a new opportunity and I don't want to travel. You're kind of limiting yourself to what that, maybe hiring manager or something is willing to offer you if you put all your deal breakers, quote unquote, in your elevator pitch. You want to make sure that maybe you don't want to travel, and that's okay. It's fine that you have this list of things that you don't want to do, but this is not the time or the place to share that. So it's your chance to make a good first impression. Again, building and maintaining that reputation. You don't want to waste your opportunity with a potential employer, because a lot of times if you're saying, oh, I don't want to do this, then they're thinking, okay, well, this person's not, willing to work within, our industry. So be sure to mention your goals. Don't be super, super specific, don't say I want this position, whatever, because that might be a little off-putting. And it also can, silo you into one spot. Whereas, if you're just talking about, your overall goals of, maybe working in accounting, they might have some opportunities that would build to your ultimate goal of whatever position you are. So, kind of keeping things broad can help you to, keep within that industry, but not, silo you into a specific place. And know your audience. So you want to make sure that you're when you're talking to someone, you know who you're talking to within the industry. So jargon is something that can be good or it can be bad depending on who you're talking to. So I think of like people in computer science. If someone's interested in a opportunity within computer science and they're talking about all of these terms and whatever that normally happens with that, if they're talking to, let's say I'm a hiring manager, I might not be versed in exactly what that is. So I'm like, well, maybe they know what they're talking about, but I don't know. So it's maybe not as effective. Whereas if I was somebody within the industry who was actually, entrenched in it, using that jargon can be really important. So if I'm talking to someone and we're using the same language, that is like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. But it just kind of depends on who you're talking to. So make sure that you know your audience. And then, we talked a little bit about business cards already. If you are using your elevator pitch, have that business card ready. And offer it when you're done talking. We talked about using the smartphone to kind of share contact information, cam card, of course, awesome. And then if you are at like a job fair or something like that, you want to have your resume ready. It kind of can demonstrate that you are excited and that you're prepared. So what not to say during an elevator pitch. You don't want to talk too fast. You don't want to ramble. Don't frown or speak in a monotone way. You want to make sure that you're keeping your listeners interested. So being friendly, smile. And I think, that's super important is as I like am on Zoom and like doing different meetings, for me, I usually, watch other people's faces, right? So even if it's not like a true networking event or whatever, just meetings in general, I think people on Zoom, you're just kind of frowny face or whatever. And I'm always watching people's expressions. So I am hyper aware of, what my face is doing. And even if my microphone's muted, I might be like laughing over the top or like doing something crazy. But to me, I think it's so important, and, it's good to show that you're engaged, especially in a virtual environment. And then don't restrict yourself to a single elevator pitch. If you're, interested in a variety of different things, it's okay to have multiple elevator pitches ready to go. That jargon example is a great opportunity. You might have two different elevator pitches that are within the same industry or the same, goal, but it might change the way you're speaking depending on who your audience is. So, have a few different things ready to go, and that way you can, kind of break into whatever you're looking to do. So here are a few examples. I don't think I need to probably read through all of them, but the first one is, I recently graduated from college with a degree in communications. I worked on the college newspaper as a reporter and eventually as the editor of the arts section. I'm looking for a job that will put my skills as a journalist to work. So we can see that this is actually, a former student or a recent grad. So they're probably looking for that entry-level position. Now, I think that, sometimes these recent grads, they have these goals where they want to, maybe they want to be an editor of the newspaper. She says eventually, or I guess I don't know if it's she, but so eventually that's what they want to do, but it's not something that she's saying, I want to be an editor tomorrow. You just want to make sure that you're looking for an opportunity within that industry so that you can work your way up to what you do, or what you want to do. So then, we have the example of someone who has a lot of experience within their industry and they're maybe looking to branch out and consult versus, being in the industry the whole time. Somebody who's opening their own office, so looking to kind of grow their business. And then, maybe some freelance opportunities. So not necessarily working for a company, but just, freelancing the things that they can do. So just some different examples as well. And I think the elevator pitch, we talk about knowing your audience and knowing what's important to them. So in this last example, The personal touch, I think, really stands out to me. It's somebody who's trying to build their business, but really, working that customer service angle. So, again, just some key takeaways on the elevator pitch. Keep it short and sweet. Focus on the essentials. Be positive and persuasive, and practice. So you want to make sure that you are, doing all of these things when you create your elevator pitch. And if you do that, hopefully, you'll be successful in not only networking, but, if you're looking for a different job opportunity as well. So a couple of resources on there, Quad Cities Chamber networking opportunities. A lot of the different, Mariah, I know you probably work with a large territory, so I would say, you could probably reach out to a lot of Chamber of Commerce directors or however it's structured, and they probably have some different networking opportunities wherever you're looking. Toastmasters International. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yep.
I appreciate you putting that in there.
Yeah, for sure. Toastmasters International, they kind of focus on that public speaking aspect of things. And I know that there's a chapter in the Quad Cities. And then there's a link to that building your elevator pitch. And I will go ahead and try to find a link to that conference that I'm going to, or not going to, maybe potentially attending, but actually I'll probably just put the regular student group stuff in the chat, because obviously you may not want to attend for higher education, but they do a lot with healthcare. And I enjoyed them. I think that they talk a lot about a lot of good things and just kind of hardwiring excellence. And so that's something that's cool. So I know I kind of talked a lot. I don't know, Mariah, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. I'll kind of open it up to you and go from there.
No questions, but I think this is all, it's a great refresher. Although, we may know and hear of a lot of these things, it's good to actually put them into practice. And we have to do it even more now since we don't go to things in person, really.
Right.
So, no, I appreciate all of that. And I'm going to be sharing, these tips, and I screenshot a few of your slides to share with my team. So I appreciate the information.
Yeah, awesome. And I think Michael sends out the presentation. I don't know if she does the recording or if it's just she can send the slideshow too. So.
Yeah, she'll send the PowerPoints, and then probably when this series is complete, the recordings will be available on the website.